Most people don't even know Green Berets do. What we did in Bosnia in the mid and late 90s, like working with the Russians in Kosovo, like basically joint patrols with the Russian VDV. When I told people stuff like this, they were like, what? I thought soldiers went overseas and sat in bunkers in the rain with a helmet on and waited to die. And it's like, no, actually, Green Berets live in rental houses.
People have this misunderstanding of what it means to be a Green Beret. The GWAT certainly shifted the focus to direct action, kicking doors in. But when we look at our Green Berets of today, the young men that are in that seat, in that team room, a lot of them have this idea like they missed out, when in reality it's like, no, you're about to witness the rebirth of the great Green Beret mindset.
I gotta be honest, like initially none of us really liked the mission in Bosnia. We were like, this is too soft.
Mark Giaconia, welcome to Security Halt podcast, brother. How are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
Dude, absolutely, man. Your career, everything you've done, I mean, it spans into our GWAT, but you're also one of our Green Berets that knows intimately what it was like to be part of things like, Kosovo, which now, by and large, has been forgotten. People are just now starting to understand Sarajevo, the Bosnia conflict, the things that happened, how brutal humanity can be. And who better to tell those stories than Green Berets that were there, that witnessed it firsthand, man. We cannot let history fade into the background. And you're also part of something that is pretty fucking rad. Nothing's greater than tapping into our lived historians that experience these big named operations. Operation Viking Hammer, like that is history, man. That's now part of our generation of Green Beret history. We get to pass down, but only if people read the books.
Yeah, man. That's one of the reasons I wrote my book, is like, there's all these little micro histories, out there that are almost like teen level lore.
Yeah.
Like I think every SF guy should write a book. Don't worry about if you suck at writing. Just do it, man.
Absolutely.
AI can help you edit it at this point.
Yes, man.
But get the stories out, man. That was one of the reasons I did mine, is I had a weird career through a bunch of stuff that most people don't even know Green Berets do. Like what we did in Bosnia in the mid and late 90s, like, and working with the Russians in Kosovo, like basically joint patrols with the Russian VDV. Just weird. Like when I told people stuff like this, they were like, what? Like I thought soldiers went overseas and sat in bunkers in the rain with a helmet on and waited to die. Like, and it's like, no, actually, Green Berets live in rental houses.
Yep.
And drive around drinking, Slivovitz with Bosnians. You know what I mean? And and report that intelligence direct to like NATO. And these little things were amazing, man, especially in the times, back then in the 90s with the Balkans, the fall of Yugoslavia and all that. Like those were serious events, man.
Dude, and that was real Green Beret work. People have this misunderstanding of what it means to be a Green Beret. The GWAT certainly shifted the focus to direct action, kicking doors in. But when we look at our Green Berets of today, the young men that are in that seat, in that team room, a lot of them have this idea like they missed out, when in reality it's like, no, you're about to witness the rebirth of the great Green Beret mindset, the guy that can have those discussions, that pull that intelligence out of that asset and then go train somebody to go across the border to do operations. And if need be, you're right there with them. And it's a great reminder that sometimes history repeats itself. The things that you were just talking about, doing those partnered ops with Russians, like that couldn't be more. I mean, like, it's a little different because right now Russia's the opposition, but we got Green Berets on the ground working with Ukrainian forces. That's the reality of sometimes history comes back, and what better place to kick it off than what was it like being that Green Beret in place like Bosnia, man?
Um, I gotta be honest, like, initially, none of us really liked the mission in Bosnia. We were like, this is too soft," you know?
Yeah.
Um, but in hindsight and after, after Bosnia, going to Kosovo and Kyrgyzstan, and then Iraq, the big Iraq invasion, those were some of the best missions we did was in Bosnia. It was actually really interesting, man, and it was like massive human connection.
Yeah.
But the day in the life there was like I went there twice, my team. First was in 97 to 98, like we spent the winter there in this town called Bihać. Yes, it sounds like biatch, but it's Bihać, which is in western Bosnia. And then the second time I went was in 1999, which was a lot different over in the northeast kind of corner of Bosnia in Brčko. Um, in the first one, like basically a day in the life in this mission, the mission was called Joint Commissioned Observers. So Green Berets, and actually the first time I went, we split teamed with a Navy SEAL team.
Oh
So
shit.
which was super weird because the mission was very not SEAL like at all. So that was weird. This was my first mission too out of the Q course. Like I graduated language school. Back then you just went to the Q and then language school and then you're done. There was no SEER. And you
Oh,
got your
that's
Green
right. Yeah.
Beret, and I got my Green Beret before language school. So that's how it worked. And I graduated in, when did I graduate? 97. So like, anyway, I went straight from um, Q to 10th group in Colorado and shipped out to Bosnia in like 2 months later. I don't remember. And it was like a roughly 5 or 6 month tour over there. But yeah, so day in the life was like, here I am, former infantry, 11 Bravo, Ranger Tab kind of guy. And I'm like, we're going to go live in a house and talk to people. That's our mission. Like, what about jumping out of planes and like, doing UW stuff? And like, anyway, that wasn't what it was, but basically we landed in, I think we landed in Sarajevo, and then we just drove these rental cars out to our house. It was almost like you just rented an Airbnb and flew in somewhere, basically.
Yeah.
And we roll out to our house. This house was rented. We rented it from like a German couple or something. I don't remember, but we lived in a house just on a street in Bihać, Bosnia. We buy like bread and food locally. They make great pizza over there, by the way, and everything was totally local. We got no support. There were no bases anywhere near us at all. The Canadian base was closest because Bosnia was like a patchwork of NATO countries or something. Um, yeah. So anyway, man, then a day in the life was like team broke up into like 2-man teams, each one assigned an interpreter, and then we had sectors set up across, and this was huge geography here. Like we went from, I can still vividly remember like the map. We went from like Bihać all the way out to the Republic of Srpska, which
Wow.
is like that's how it was partitioned back then. There's a lot of I could talk for days on the Balkans, man. But like basically, we would go out every day, drive, and meet different people. So we met with like mayors, chiefs of police, um, farmers, you name it, man, random people, and just talk to people. The whole point of the mission was to relay like the pulse of the people at this super hyper local level across the whole country. So you had all these 10th group teams. I think third group came in after us. Um, and that was it, man. We were like insanely embedded situational awareness, essentially.
It's like social media, analog social media.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Pure Liberty Labs. Quality supplements designed to elevate your health and performance. Check out their full line of quality supplements. Whether you're looking for whey protein, pre-workout, creatine, or a super greens drink, Pure Liberty Labs has you covered. Use my code SecurityHalt10 at checkout today.
Exactly, man. Every day we drive out, and some of these drives were like 3 or 4 hour drives, man. Like,
Dude.
just with two of us. Oh, and one other kind of interesting thing is we were like, given the power of like NATO command as individuals. So we wore our uniform, but with no rank, no insignias. And we would draw, and all we carried was concealed pistols. And in certain places we would carry a broken down long gun in like a backpack.
Yeah.
But usually not really needed. People were super cool over there, all of them. But anyway, that's how we were. So we would go into like the bases and share like intelligence with the Canadians, and the second time I went with American base, and we had no rank. And we went in there as if we were like, these are the guys who are out there that work for the whole command. And you might as well consider them some nebulous rank, which was kind of weird. I was like an E5 on the first tour, man.
I would have abused the fuck out of that. Just being honest.
It got abused a little bit for sure. But
I don't know, sir. Should you do that? Maybe.
Yeah. So it sounds kind of boring, like, oh my God, they drove around and talked to people. But you have to remember the situation there was the Yugoslavia just like collapsed. The Bosnian wars were big, like hell on earth inside of Bosnia, with like so many factions just fighting against each other, along with criminal elements mixed in there. And like meeting with all these people, hearing like their stories and all that stuff. And some of them, like a lot of Serb people over there, didn't really want to talk to us. So there was like the Robin Sage situation. It was almost like a flavor of that when you go meet certain Serbian groups, because we bombed them, in Bosnia. We kind of picked a side and said the Serbs are bad, and we hammered them. So when we met up with some of them, there were times where it was pretty tense, and those Green Beret rapport building skills were very much practiced every day. So also we got drunk roughly every day.
Well, it's part of the culture, man.
Look, and we had an exception to drinking policy.
Yeah.
Across the board, because you can't go to Bosnia and not drink what's called Slivovitz, which is kind of like a brandy, I guess, or like I'm not much of a drinker, but rakia is like the traditional drink. It's like a plum-based alcohol. The stuff is brutally strong. It's like moonshine, basically. If you don't drink that, man, it's very insulting to most of the people there. So the way it looked, usually we would head out in the morning, meet someone like mid to late morning, get tipsy with that guy, and then go to lunch, and then meet with somebody else and get roughly drunk again. And then we would have dinner out or something while we sobered up, and then drove back to the house. That was a day in the life of a JCO in a lot of cases. Dude, I could drink like Serbs under the table by the time I left Bosnia. I think I was an alcoholic. I'm not exaggerating. There's a few people that I don't stay in touch with, many people actually, but there are a few who we reminisce about that mission because of that, man. And
I want to see the end of tour awards for that deployment.
Yeah.
Getting our conference just being blasted.
Oh yeah, man. It was insane. But it was a really cool, in hindsight. At the time we were like, man, we're supposed to be, badass gunslinging warriors.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing with this? And some of the old timers were like, no guys, this is like a piece of UW.
Yeah.
we're basically practicing UW skills here, at least one of the set of skills. And intel collection is basically what it was all about through rapport and networks. We even had like parties at our house where we would invite people to all of our like contacts in and get hammered.
Don't go upstairs. That room's off limits.
Exactly. We had an ops room set up upstairs with like all our radios. Yep.
I'm laughing because allegedly that may have happened in Peru.
Oh. Yeah, we had. Man,
I'm tapping into my own lived experience here.
Oh yeah, man. Almost anywhere you go, I think Green Berets, man. Like,
oh man,
stuff like that has to happen. Like to build rapport, you have to truly, integrate and open up to people. You can't just speak 556 and be a decent Green Beret,
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the thing that people don't realize about the mission set. Culturally, the situation demanded that you drank. That was part of the culture.
Totally.
I mean, I don't think people understand it. The movies don't really do it a good service. If you've traveled across Europe, if you've been abroad, I mean, South America to a point, but not really. It's they love drinking beer, but it's not to the point where like you can't just walk away. I think in Europe, it's more of a if you don't drink this, you're not part of this. We're not going to respect you or bring you into the fold. So
that's right, man. Yeah, and we used to for like reciprocity, man. We used to go to the on the border of Bosnia. There's Croatia on the left side, and like there were these duty-free shops on the border. So we would go buy like Jack Daniels and Jim Beam and stuff, and bring those with us. We're like, you guys are always giving us rakia. We're gonna give you some American whiskey, and like I would give people bottles, and we'd get hammered on that too. So, yeah, it was awesome, man. When I left there, dude, it was like leaving like legit friends behind, like. So because we were there for like 6 months or 5 or 6 months each time. And we met with these different people over and over through the whole time. And you become like legit, friends with these people. And I was a German speaker too, coming out of language school. And a lot of people there actually spoke German about as well as I did. I did. So you can get by with. I did pretty well in language school. I don't know why. I kind of had an affinity for language, but I was able to, converse a little bit at least. They had broken German. I had broken German, and it kind of worked out pretty well over there. Yeah. So, man, the second time though was really interesting because we were bombing Kosovo. So we were in Bosnia in '99, same deal, living in a different house, but mostly in a Serbian ethnic area in the Republic of Srpska. Bosnia is like two things. It's like this federation entity, and then it's the Republic of Srpska. And Brčko is in this little spot in the middle where it kind of breaks the Republic of Srpska in half. I think it's like an autonomous region or something now. I don't remember, but whatever. But that time we were bombing the piss out of Serbia, which didn't help us build rapport with Serbs.
Oh shit, dude.
And like, so that was rough.
That's the understatement of the year right there. And we're still in January. That is insane. That's a difficult mission.
It was tricky. And actually I think we overthought it more than it was actually a major problem. Because when we were kind of locked in our house, almost like a bunker, and literally sandbagged windows, and like we put up chicken wire for grenades and stuff not to be able to come through the windows. And there was no barrier around the house, and Serbs were having these huge protests, like with thousands of people, and we were worried about getting basically overrun by, a massive amount of people. So we were on like defensive, posture in this house. We used to do like battle drills in the house to like assume these positions. As a weapons guy, I was like designing out how we're going to defend the house, and we had a Humvee hidden in the garage and as like an escape vehicle. And we had
This episode of Security Halt is brought to you by Dr. Taylor Bosley and Precision Wellness Group. Let's be real. By now, a lot of New Year's resolutions have already fizzled out. Life gets busy, motivation drops, and health ends up on the back burner. But here's the truth. There's no better time to start than right now. Precision Wellness Group specializes in hormone optimization and hormone health, delivering personalized care and treatment right to your door. If you've been dealing with low energy, brain fog, poor sleep, or stalled performance, hormone imbalance may be the missing piece. Dr. Taylor Bosley and his team take a data-driven, individualized approach to help you get back to operating at your best. Security Halt listeners receive 25% off their initial consultation when they use Security Halt 25 at checkout. Click the link in the episode description to find out more and get started today.
ENR routes to be able to get out of the house and over into Croatia, which is Birchko's right on the border of Croatia. But anyway, it ended up like we were pinned, kind of pinned ourselves into our house until our commander was like, "You guys need to get the hell out of the house. You can do your friggin' job."
Yeah.
And actually, it was a good call that he did that, and we did, man. We started going out, and lo and behold, the Serbs were actually super cool all the time. With any Serb I met was super cool to me. They were like, "Yeah, we know it's not you guys. It's all politics bullshit." And on that tour over there, I ended up having probably more rapport with anyone than we had even on the first one. I actually played in a Serb band in a bar one time. Like I'm a guitar player. So we're in there jamming on a guitar. There was a couple dudes who were kind of sore about what we were doing to Serbia, and like I definitely kind of learned the perspective of the Serbs in the whole conflict. And honestly, I became a little bit of a sympathizer to like their whole thing. The normal Serbian people.
Yeah.
Kinda
It's hard
got
not
flamed.
to. You're right there. You're seeing it from the ground truth.
Yeah.
The problem is the optics. What's reported, what we see, and I know it's not, you understand this more than most people. You're an 18 Fox. Things are rarely what you see on TV or as black as white it's portrayed, man. The reality is these conflicts and international relationships are very, very difficult things to report on and get it accurately, accurate and correct every single time, man.
Yeah.
Except if you're on the ground. If you're on the
That's right.
ground, you absolutely understand what's going on and you can talk to people. I mean, and that's every conflict we've been in. Like there's moments in time I reflect back thinking to myself, what the fuck are we doing in Afghanistan?
Yeah, man.
And just a few years before that, what the fuck am I doing in Iraq?
Yeah. It's the Balkans, man, are a hot topic. Like you go over there, you will get totally different perspectives from each ethnic group against the other ethnic group. Like,
yeah.
And man, I learned so much about that whole place by just talking to people. I read a lot about it too since, but man, it was a hell of an experience. One of the guys I knew the best that I used to go to his house and like eat dinner with his family was this guy who was a sergeant in the Republic of Srpska army. And like the first time we met that guy, they outwardly did not want to talk to us. They're like, "We have nothing to say to you guys." And that one took a little while to get going. I think I ended up telling them that the conventional troops are going to do an inspection on them, so they better get their shit together. And that helped bring rapport. He was like, "Hey, this guy's on our side." But you know how that goes, man. Sometimes you gotta work the system, but ended up having awesome rapport with that guy. And he was telling us all kinds of stories about the war. And the Serbs were not the only people to do atrocities in the Bosnian wars. And like, yeah, it was awesome, dude. And during that tour, when we started, we were bombing Serbia, and the Russians spun up inside Bosnia because we actually had like a Russian liaison team in Bosnia too. Not my team; it was a different ODA on another house, and one of the houses got rocketed by RPGs. The house in Zvornik, Bosnia. They had like 6 RPGs ripped through their house. Somehow nobody got wounded. But anyway, the Russians spun up and like had these massive convoys headed into Serbia. And we thought it was going to be like World War III again, man. And like, or World War II started in the Balkans basically. And like, here we go again. So we got redirected to do this mission that was called Operation Vodka Chaser. And I think our commander came up with that term. He was freaking hilarious. I forget his name, man. He became like a general. But anyway, yeah. So we ended up shifting focus to reconning the Russians as they go across the border, and kind of you think of basic like salute reporting on the Russians. And of course, that turned into something. You know how it is, man. Like on the ground, things are totally wacko compared to what you would think they are. But so we ended up driving to these points where the Russians were crossing from Bosnia into Kosovo or into Serbia. And we ended up just kind of running into the back of the convoy in our car. There's mines everywhere on the sides of the road in Bosnia. So you can't like this whole idea that you're going to recon, like, forget all that. We're basically driving an SUV up to the back of the Russian convoy and sitting there, in full sight of the Russians. But then on one of these places where we did that, it was on this bridge that goes from Belina into Serbia. If you looked at a map, it's on the east end of Bosnia. This Russian guy comes over and asks us if we have any cigarettes, because we got like, they've been sitting there for like days. So they were running out of cigarettes. And my captain was basically not native, but a fluent Russian speaker. He was one of those guys who went to DLI for their language.
Nice. Yeah.
And I think he was an intel guy before SF, and he was prior enlisted. But anyway, he was a really good Russian speaker, like basically fluent in Russian. And so he builds rapport with these guys as they come to get cigarettes. And like, next thing you know, we're bringing the Russians like cigarettes and pizza. So like, meanwhile, we're telling them openly, like, we're reporting how many of you guys there are. And they're like, oh, there's like 350 of us. This is Alpha Company, whatever.
Here are great coordinates.
Exactly. Like, it's not like you can't see it. They're just parked, I'm driving in. And like, that was one of the highlights of that trip, man. It was just the Russians rolling in, and everybody thought it was going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And we were joking with the Russians of like, we might need to start killing each other at any moment, just FYI. That was the kind of conversations that happened, man. And like,
any moment,
they just rolled off. One night they rolled off over the bridge and into Serbia. And
just
then
see you facing a Russian, just going for your pistol. Nah, I'm just joshing you.
It's funny, man. And like, then there was this huge ordeal in Serbia where there was like a big face off on some airfield or something with the Brits and that, and I don't know the details of that, but it was a super tense time, man. You're talking about fall of Yugoslavia, NATO bombing Serbia because of Kosovo, and the Russians are now rolling into Serbia from Bosnia, massive muscle movements here. And we're kind of stuck in there driving around rental cars and looking at Russians. And it was intense.
It's crazy because anybody listening that's around, my age group, early, early 40 or mid 30s, late 30s, early 40s, like you probably remember seeing some of the stuff on TV as a kid. And just, I mean, it just blows my mind. Like in the chaos of that time period, there's teams of Green Berets out there just gathering metrics, driving around.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and this one dude who became a warrant.
Stories shape culture. They build trust. And when they're told the right way, they move people to action. That's what we do at Security Halt Media. We don't just produce content, we create authentic, impactful, and purpose-driven storytelling for podcasters, nonprofits, brands, and leaders who are on a mission. For people who've lived real experiences and want their message to actually matter. From podcast production and video to strategic storytelling and distribution. We help you clarify your voice, elevate your brand, and connect with the audience you're trying to serve. If you have a story worth telling and a purpose behind it, Security Halt Media is here to help you tell it the right way. Click the link in the episode description to learn more today.
We're by ourselves. He was a decent Serbo-Croatian speaker. They used to teach that during my era. Serbo-Croatian was like a core language because of so much going on in the Balkans. And it was just me and him in a Kia, driving out towards the border in the middle of nowhere. This was in the phase of we're looking where Russians might be crossing. And we ended up going to this area where there was, because we're basically at war with Serbia at this time, which is our neighboring country from Bosnia. And we rolled up on this place where I guess we had different sectors, me and this guy had been to this Republic of Srpska unit, like a military unit before. Yeah, just real quick. There's Bosnian Serbs and there are Serbs in Serbia. The Bosnian Serbs have their own military as part of the Republic of Srpska in Bosnia. Serbs in Serbia is a totally different Serbian military or whatever. So anyway, we go to this Republic of Srpska outpost. And as we roll up there, we notice dudes on the other side of the river. It was like the Drina River, I think, over there. And we realize there are Serbs from Serbia hanging out with the dudes in Bosnia. And these, two dumbasses drive up in a Kia and everybody sits up and starts like headed for their kit, basically. And we got there's probably 40 or 50 dudes that you could tell were kind of spooked. Which, by the way, in some of these interactions, people didn't know what to do. They're like, okay, I mean, there's Americans in Bosnia. The Americans are at war with us in Serbia. But we're in Bosnia. Are we supposed to kill the Americans? I don't know, and
is there a flow chart that explains?
Yeah. So they started spinning up though. And me and this guy, Steve, we hauled ass because we weren't sure what we're supposed to do either.
Yeah.
And so there were some moments like that along the border at that time that were tense. And then the rocket attack was probably one of the biggest things. But yeah, man, it's kind of weird too, going from that Bosnian experience, which was almost over a year total of living basically in Bosnia. By the way, when I got out of the army and I describe Bosnia to people, I leave out that I was in the army because it just confuses people. They're like, army guys don't do that in their head, and I'm like, no, I just tell people I lived in Bosnia for a year.
Oh man.
Then it's more intuitive to them of what we did.
They just don't understand, man. But I gotta imagine coming, you do a year there, getting that cultural experience, getting that side of the Green Beret experience first, and then moving through your career, then Iraq and Afghanistan kick off. Like, how the fuck were you able to flip that switch to be like, all right, fuck, man, like this is war. It's completely different.
Yep. It was, I guess you could say Kosovo was a little bit of a warm up for us because that was kind of like a counterinsurgency mission with the Russians. But yeah, it was, honestly, man, like the beginning of Iraq for us and some guys, this was Afghanistan. I never went to Afghanistan. But when Iraq kicked off and my team got kind of selected to be one of the pilot teams, or we called it the AFO teams. Well, there's pilot teams and there's AFO teams. They're different. It was like we got, we'd won the playoffs and we're going to the Super Bowl, man. You know what I mean? Like we were pumped. And it was like it was a classic UW mission there. It's I would say almost completely old school in terms of like infill, link up with Indige,
Yeah, yeah.
organize the resistance and do your like what was it called? The unconventional warfare assessment of like
Yep.
which is kind of like your who, what, when, where, and why of the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Take
or
us through that, man, because
yeah,
that's something that so many of us, if you went through the Q course, you hear your cadre talk through these phases of the operation, talk through what it's like to go there. But vast majority of us never got that. We fell in on a fob. We fell in on a cob somewhere with a partner force that was already well established. And then some of us were lucky enough, you partner up with the premier guys, the Catejas, guys that, you know, you just point them in the right direction, they're fucking going. When you and your team get that fucking notification that's like, hey, you won, you're going in. Holy fuck, that's the win. But then comes the planning, then comes the actual execution
yeah.
of this.
We actually did. By the way, you should have Mark Girdovich on, who was my ops officer, and he was company commander. He wrote a book about this too, called "Those Who Face Death." I think our books are a good complement. His is kind of like a high level uh, historical account. Mine is more like a personal, you could say, first person shooter kind of account of it. The two actually, I think, go pretty well, but. Um, we were in Colorado, we get the word that we're doing this, and we did go into kind of like your classic semi-isolation, and we even, like, went out to this big training area and did a full almost to make a long story short, almost like a full rehearsal of some of the pieces that we're gonna do, and then it was one of the worst parts was waiting for the word to actually ship out, um, so but yeah, we did. We basically did you got the mission. We actually had to get read on to like some program, like basically sensitive stuff. Which at the time, man, none of us had that happen to us, and we're like, holy shit,
You
we're
can't take
uh,
notes. You're gonna have
yeah,
to remember all this shit.
yeah, you're going in. You guys are going in early to do advanced force ops. Your mission is to establish contact with the Kurds. For us, it was the PUK. There were different Kurds, which not all Kurds like each other, by the way. And we had to rebuild an airstrip so the rest of the Green Berets months later could actually land and be distributed. And we had to identify essentially the safe house for each ODA that was going to come in for the main body of SF guys doing UW. So it was infill somehow. There were a bunch of options we laid out um, for that. Link up, do an assessment of where all the Kurds are and what they have and what sectors they can cover. And if the Iraqis attacked, where would they go? And, just getting a handle on where they all are because they're all over the place. And like
Yep.
that half of northern Iraq is actually gigantic. We were doing like 6-hour drives to try to find like pockets of Kurds and like assess them, which at times was hilarious. Which I we can talk about in a second, man. Like classic shit. But yeah, that was so for we infilled in January of 2003. Um, which the war started like what officially like March 20 something. I don't remember because that line was blurred for us. We were there. We were watching the news over there where someone was saying there's no Americans in Iraq. from from in Iraq. That was hilarious.
Guys
By
who
the
don't
way, man,
exist.
like there were dudes on the pilot teams who were in there months before we were.
Yeah.
And they laid some of the groundwork just to get us in there, I think. Which the way we okay, yeah. So that was the mission. Infill, link up, assess the Kurdish, composition, disposition, rebuild the runway, and then do the targeting for the shock and awe, initial strikes. That was pretty much and also find safe houses for all the ODAs that were in the most advantageous locations. And that's the AFO mission. Um, and our infill is very mysterious to me, at least. And I was kind of a knuckle dragging 18 Bravo, but like it's possible that my captain told us everything. I just wasn't listening. I'm like, you know what I mean, man?
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
was
So, and I'm
guilty.
yeah, exactly. So, but for my personal perspective was we basically we were told to drive. First of all, we infilled in rental cars.
This episode of Security Halt is brought to you by Dr. Mark Gordon and Millennium Health Store. If you've listened to this show, you know how seriously we take brain health, recovery, and long-term performance, especially for veterans and high performers. Dr. Mark Gordon is one of the leading experts in neuroendocrinology and traumatic brain injury. He's just released his new book, Peptides for Health. Both the medical edition, Volume 1, and a consumer edition, Volume 1, are available right now. The book breaks down how peptide therapy supports brain health, hormonal balance, recovery, and resilience in a way that's practical and evidence-based. You can get 25% off the book by using code PTH25 at checkout, valid through March 15th. And for Dr. Gordon's proprietary health products, Security Halt listeners can receive 10% off if they use the code PHASE2P. Click the link in the episode description to find out more and visit Millennium Health Store today.
That we rented in Turkey and then just drove them in and abandoned them eventually. So, and I think the rumor was that our company commander signed for them as like Donald Duck or something. I don't remember, man.
Are you sure you don't want the entire insurance package?
Yeah,
we'll pass.
I think we're good. So we rented cars, we loaded them up, and we hid all of our equipment in the cars. Because these are just by the way, one of our trucks was like a 2-wheel drive, almost lowrider, little pickup with like tinted windows. So we were laughing our ass off on that. We're pimping across the border or whatever. But yeah, it's hilarious, dude. But we ended up driving out we drove out of the Air Force base with these rental cars loaded up with stuff, as if we were on like a day pass to like go check out, parts of Turkey. And 27 hours later, we're approaching, the border. And for me, this was like when I was in a Jeep Cherokee with 2 other dudes, my team sergeant and one other guy. And our thing was like, we don't know, we have no idea what's going to happen on the border. Like in our minds, we could be arrested and thrown in Turkish prison. What if they look in the back of these vehicles and dig up under the seats and find an M4 and an M21 and a whatever, we could have been in deep shit. So our mindset was we're going to fight our way in if we have to. So approaching the thing, I'm driving this Jeep Cherokee, it's raining. And I got like my pistol under my thigh on the driver's seat. And like, it was super tense, man. But it ended up being like completely effortless to just, we drove in, we took like a bathroom break inside the border like area. By the way, we're in civilian clothes completely. I was wearing like, mountaineer, 10th group looking guys, basically, with a bunch of cold weather gear on. By the way, it was freezing cold, and it was, Iraq isn't hot all the time, which we were about to learn quickly.
Oh, I know. we had groundbreaking, like friggin' freezing weather both years I was there. Snowed in Iraq, and boy,
yeah, dude, that's what happened next, basically. So we took a piss break, crossed the border. and then linked up with the Kurds and some guys from our pilot team. I think it was like the 2nd Battalion pilot team. I was 3rd Battalion, 10th Group, ODA. I think they changed the numbering, but it was ODA 081. That
Yeah,
the
it's
team
back.
that
It's
I was
back to
on.
3-digit now. They went
Oh,
back.
is it?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Back to the
I'm
retro.
weird, dude. I'm kind of weird. I got out when I got out, I got way out, man. Like I don't really I'm
Yeah.
not really involved or track much of anything that goes on, so I didn't know that. But yeah, man, we rolled over, linked up with the Kurds, and this was the KDP Kurds, not our PUK Kurds. So our team, what was going to happen is we link up with the KDP Kurds, and that pilot team, and they're going to move us to link up with the PUK. But the KDP and the PUK are not very friendly. They almost had a war at one point, I think, because of I think the KDP let like Saddam in or something one time. There's a whole history, man, between the different Kurdish factions. But we linked up with KDP, and they were like, Iraq already knows you're here, so you can't take the main road around because it's within like missile range and artillery range of the Green Line. Which back then there was the Green Line, which was like kind of the forward line of Iraqi troops against the northern Iraq, which is Iraqi Kurdistan. There's a whole history there that is, you could talk for hours about that history. But so the Kurds are like, you need to drive, just follow us, basically, which is very Robin Sage like. You come across the border, you had a plan. First contact with the Indige, they're like, "Nah, you're not going to do that. Like, we're going to bring you through the mountains to get to this safe site. That then you'll spend the rest of the night, and then we'll bring you to the PUK." And that's what we did. But to your point about snow, it was whiteout snowing as we were going through those paths, man. There were times when there was a Kurd walking in front of our vehicle as we went through like these mountain passes to like guide us along. That's how bad it was snowing.
Yeah. To the audience that never went to Iraq or Afghanistan, Iraq does have terrain features. It's not a cartoon desert.
That's right. And I didn't, like we were looking at maps and stuff, obviously, before we left, but I had no idea that the mountains of northern Iraq and Turkish border and the Iranian border further over are so massive. It's like Rocky Mountain level.
Yeah.
Shit,
and it's, I mean, shit. We've had, not to, Security Halt, we always segue out, but we've had friggin' throughout the entire GWAT, we've had civilians have had to been friggin' recovered out of the area because of climbing excursions. Like it's a very popular happening spot, and people just fucking continue going there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, so the whole infill, dude, was intense. We drove forever. We were tired, man. I think by the time we got, so we end up getting to this safe site. We sleep for maybe 2 hours, and we weren't sleeping really. We were too excited, man. We're in Iraq, like there's Kurds everywhere. They're bringing us tea, and like we're actually doing this shit. Like, just think about it. Before then, man, like a lot of places, a lot of guys had never seen any action in whole like 20-year careers, and suddenly we're in the Super Bowl, where it's like Robin Sage V2, and we just couldn't. Or maybe I can only speak for myself. I couldn't believe we were actually there. We're in Iraq. We made it across the border. There's Kurds all over the place, and we're about to go link up with our like Indige.
Yeah. You guys made history, man. Like
it was insane. It was totally surreal. Yeah, it's actually interesting to me, man. I should ask you, like, is that in like the new, let's just say the new generation, are those missions like well known and they're
100%.
like, and they're talked about?
I will tell you from my perspective, as I didn't understand the importance of culture as a young Green Beret. And I think that's something that needs to change. And part of this whole experience is that people can hear it and can then, if they're still in, bring that back to the teams. Because I found it incredibly important as a warrant officer. Like you have to understand the importance of the living continuity of a team, and it was a heavy thing for me. Like, how do I not know my Green Beret history? How do I not know how to expand on this and give guys the information that, you know, you belong to a group of individuals have done amazing things. Like, it's part of your history. 82nd gives that to you. 173rd gives that to you. You don't serve in those units. Like, I knew that, felt that weight of having those freaking patches on my shoulders. I was like paratrooper, World War II, like, holy shit, Band of Brothers, like all these historical things. Like, you carry that, it gives you so much pride. When you walk into your team room and you see the lineage of all the other teams, like that, of the men that came before you, like, you owe it to yourself to understand and at least look up a little bit, especially when it comes to the memorial stuff. That's the thing that I keyed in on, like, being able to serve with some of the guys that had been there for the early parts of GWOT. Those stories resonated and they stayed. They're part of the living hallways, man. And I know that's the same thing for 10th Group. I know it's the same. And on the outside, like I said, it's even more important to continue talking about it. Like, you're part of history, but more importantly, you're part of the Green Beret fabric, man. What you guys did, like, it's talked about, it's honored, it's respected. Like, you have, like, this moment that anchors all of us back to, like, fuck, like, we may not have been able to do it. We were younger, we were kids, but I'm part of something bigger to myself. I'm part of that lineage. And every time they make a hype video, anytime our soft history does something and connects it, even if you weren't there, you can say, "That's the lineage I belong to." That's the important thing about this, man. That's why it's like guys like you getting out, writing these books. We need more of that because it's not about being a silent professional. You can be a quiet professional. You can write a book. Hell, use a pen name.
Yeah.
Have somebody help you with it, but you
Yeah.
have to get these stories out there because it it robs us of a future where a young man picks up that book, reads these accolades, and says, "I think I can do this. I think I have what it takes." Because if you look back to a lot of these stories of people I've had on here, that's how a lot of us got the idea to serve. Reading these stories, like being able to say, "You know what? Fuck yeah, I wanna know what it's like to be one of these operators, one of these guys," you
Yeah.
know, MACV SOG, all these stories, man.
Exactly, man. I was gonna
Like,
say, like, that's my era. Like, I wanted to be a Green Beret because of, like, the, Vietnam books
yep,
about, like, working with the Montagnards
yeah,
and the Nungs
yep.
and doing these, like, deep penetration missions, MACV, SOG, and all that, and,
Dude,
like
Tilt, John
yep.
Stryker Meyer, man, like that, having him on the show, it was like the greatest full circle moment of like reading stories about this man, reading story about the teams he was a part of, reading stories about all these operations that he lived on. And there he is on the other side of the screen, sharing his stories in person, man, like to give back to yet another generation of Green Berets. That's the shit we need, man.
You know what's interesting too, man, what you just mentioned, like, when I got to 10th Group, I don't remember history being iterated to us, but, like, when I was in the 25th ID, before I went to SF. I was an infantry guy for 5 years before I went to SF, and, there, man, they did actively reiterate the history of I was in the 27th Regiment, which is the Wolfhounds, and the Wolfhounds are one of the most decorated units of, like, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, or whatever, and I was actually the what do they call it? The guide-on
Yeah.
carrier guy.
Yeah.
And we had so many of those, like,
The
things on there,
streamers. Yeah.
the streamers, that the thing weighed like 40 pounds, man. And I was like so I'm still insanely proud, man, of my, like, infantry time in the Wolfhounds. It was awesome. And, man, I was in the recon platoon of my battalion, which you have to do a little tryout to get into. It's a scout platoon, and, So I was in this little group of kind of elite dudes in my battalion for probably 3 out of the 5 years.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, man, in a lot of ways, that little team, like, I was a squad leader for a while in that. Those teams in the infantry rival, like, soft teams in terms of, like,
100%.
badassery. I don't
100%.
think infantry gets enough credit for how awesome they are. There's a lot of dudes in there that just really don't wanna go through all the BS
Yeah.
to be SF, but they definitely could.
We talk about
And
that a lot on here. A lot of us that were prior service from, especially the infantry background, it is a school of mastering like the basic principles. It gives you that confidence to go. I love being a Green Beret. It was a great time. It gave me so much. The team is a very important thing. The teammates are amazing, but I look back to my company, my platoon, those deployments to Iraq, and I that's when I feel like I was part of some of the greatest fucking elements, dude. Like the Brotherhood. That's you don't have kit. You don't have the fancy kit. You don't have the endless budget. It's just you and the tenacity of a bunch of a 19. I mean, the guy that we looked up to, the guys that we looked up to as our mentors were like fucking 25, 28.
yeah. Yeah, they were old guys, man, in the
Oh,
infantry.
you're 30 years old. You're so smart. And then, like, I remember when I turned 32, I was like, fuck, I don't know shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's, I
Yeah.
tell people that all the time. Everybody has a bad, I think, perception of the infantry of, like, a bunch of dumbasses or whatever. It's, like, not even close. You've got some of the toughest people on earth, man, and they're just crude, tough dudes, man, who can carry a rucksack for 2 weeks straight in the rain, sleep in the friggin' mud, don't give a shit about any of and just kick ass, man, where I a lot of guys coming into soft come from non-infantry MOSs, man, and you can see it. They're kinda soft, man, from, like especially in, like, SF selection. I remember seeing these guys, I'm like, dude busts out like a brand new pair of boots. I'm like, "What are you doing, man? You don't have your boots broken in yet?" He's like, "No, I
That's
thought I would have the best boots for this." Like, "Oh my god, you're doomed, man." Like,
that
and of
is
course he was, but
that's a strategy.
yeah, not the preferred technique, what they used to say. But yeah, man, I'm always hyping up for the infantry because
Yeah.
my dad was also an infantryman in Vietnam too,
Oh, no shit.
and he was, and my grandfather was in the Marines.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I got like a history of the infantry in my blood too. So, and my
Yeah.
dad's very proud still of his blue cord, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know,
That's, I was just talking to my wife. I made some really bad decisions as a young man, leaving, dating the wrong type of women. Had one that skipped town and like took like so much of my shit. Luckily, she didn't take my motorcycle or any of my firearms. That was nice. But like all of my old uniforms, just like all of them. I mean, I'm pretty sure the guy she left town with took all my ammo, so that lost that. But in all the shit she took was my old set of army dress uniforms with my friggin' beret, my blue cord, and I was sitting there. My wife's like, we still got to do a shadow box for you for your service, and I'm like, man, like I got all my Green Beret stuff, but the one thing that really just fucking hurts, that really just gutted me, was when I was sitting there reflecting with her. I'm like, I had the same damn maroon beret my entire time I was in 82nd. I was so proud of that. There's nothing better than that
yeah,
paratrooper lean.
yeah,
And it reminded me like, fuck, I don't have that. I don't have my uniform, my 2504 patch, or my division and all that stuff. Like and that's a hard thing for me to reflect on. I was like, fuck, man, like when you're out, when you're older, all that shit will matter someday. So guys, if you're listening, please, please don't be like me. Don't shack up with a single mom. with a fancy set of implants with loose morals. Keep your shit in a storage shed. Don't let her have keys. And whatever you do, move out before the deployment comes to it. Because I'm telling you, she will take all your shit.
Yeah. That's good advice, man. And probably more relevant than you might think.
Because you'll never get it back. I mean, and like I said, like I'm gonna go figure out a way to go back to Kim's, because that was the other thing. I went to the same Speedy Kim's #1 on Riley or Yadkins. Went to same lady for all my sew shop stuff. Got my Green Beret from her, and it was just one of those things. But like you don't forget. It's part of your lineage, man.
Yeah. One thing I regret, man, I was given 1,000,000 coins. I don't know where any of them are. I have like 2 coins or something. I didn't take pictures. Like I hardly took any pictures. Um, so especially nowadays where you got so easy to take pictures, take pictures. Like you're gonna wish you had them. Like I have 0 pictures of me that I took with like the Kurds in Iraq. The only pictures I have are what other people gave me, like emailed me way later on. Uh, anyway, man, just it's a thing that you'll care about someday when you walk down. Like I periodically go in the basement and open up a closet and look at my Class A's down there.
Yeah, you
And
gotta
I
do a
do have a
shadow
shadow.
box,
I have a
man.
shadow box right there, actually,
Nice.
and
Yes.
my flag. You can't
Yeah.
see it, but it's right there.
Hell
But it
yeah.
doesn't have my infantry in it, though. It
Oh
only has
yeah.
SF stuff.
I think since my wife asked this past week, and I am gonna make it more of put it on the forefront of my mind and really design what I want for a shadow box and put the effort, buy the stuff I want to replace what I lost, because you got your ERB, you know what you earned in each one of your units, you know all the patches you need. If you're like me and you lost stuff, like just go buy it. Go buy it, put together a shadow box. Telling you, I didn't think it was important, but when I don't know why it hit me. It hit me differently when I sat there and I reflected on that loss of like, fuck, dude, like all those friends you lost, all the people that aren't here anymore that you served with, that young man that was willing to think that he could serve within that. I mean, and getting, I will tell you, I've heard so many stories of sheer luck of how you got airborne school or how you got assignment to this unit that ended up being the greatest. I wasn't guaranteed to go to airborne school. It was a pure chance, and a drill sergeant that made a promise and he honored it and dropped me and my other buddy off at airborne school and snuck us in. And you forget all these things. And later on down the road, like I remember, I'm like, fuck, dude, I was slotted to go to Fort Hood. I was slotted to go to fucking one of the worst places on earth. And by chance, by luck, somebody saw worth and saw value in me and gave me the opportunity to go there. So that's why even now more than ever, I'm like, fuck, man, I am grateful for that 82nd time. I'm grateful for that experience. Every single one of those paratroopers that made me the man that I needed to be to go to selection.
Yep, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad this shadow box I have was actually built for me when I retired.
Oh, hell
Um,
yeah.
I retired out of SOCOM and, which maybe we'll talk about all that, but, um, and yeah, they put it together for me. Do you want me to show it to you?
Yeah, yeah. Let's
I
see
don't
it.
know. Well, here's the flag they gave me. That's the retirement flag with the
Hell yeah.
Legion of Merit on it.
Nice.
Let me pull this thing out of here. Here it is. And it has my crusty green beret right there. Like, to your point about your old red beret,
Yeah, yeah,
that's my crust. I wish it had 10th group on it, but I left on my last flash
yeah,
from SOCOM. This
yeah.
thing is dusty, by the way, man, but there's the
Hey,
rest of it.
and I'm telling you guys, it's important to do that. All of my friends are Jolly, Jason Jolly. I'm throwing your name out there. Your time's coming soon, bro. Uh,
You gotta get
be
one.
be willing to put some money into that. Be willing to sit down, plan it out, and make it unique. Make it for you. You don't have to make it look like anybody else's. Like I'm certainly going to make mine a lot different, but it's going to encompass my entire career because, man, like to look back on life, look back how long you served, like it's a trip down memory lane that we all need to take. We all need to honor it, man. And Mark, this episode has been exactly what I needed it to be, man. To sit down with a living piece of history, man. Somebody that lived it, but not just one aspect of it, like various aspects of it, places that and parts of history that I was a kid watching TV and seeing this stuff fall, like just unfold. I'm just like, fuck, dude. Why aren't there good people? And little did I know that there were good people on the ground right there doing a mission that, years, decades later, I finally got to be a part of. And even though I never traveled to those parts of the world, I can say that I was part of a brotherhood, a part of a lineage that allowed me to freaking carry the banner forward. So today, brother, this has just been fucking awesome experience, man. If people want to check out your book, where can they go?
Just go to Amazon and look up, my name, and then the title of the book is One Green Beret. There's another one that's just Viking Hammer, but nothing is in that except for literally the Viking Hammer thing. So I just subsetted it out. So I recommend getting One Green Beret. That has Bosnia, Kosovo, everything in it, all the way up to my transition out of the military into the technology industry.
Yeah. We gotta get you back on to tap into that, because one of the things that we love to talk about is that transition piece, man. It's so many guys forget that they've done so much and they just see that transition piece as being just so impossible, and they struggle with it. And
It's I had
Yeah.
a kind of unique path on that. That Yeah, man, we should do another one and just talk specifically about how, I went from Green Beret to basically like a software engineering computer scientist, and kind of like a upper middle management of I came straight out of the army into kind of an upper middle management, like high-end technology,
Damn.
industry. And like, man, what a culture shock, that
Yeah.
was. It was awesome. I'm still in it. It's been
Yeah.
15 years, believe it or not.
Dang.
I've been out of the army almost as long as I was in. This year's 15 years I retired.
Damn.
So
Holy
yeah.
cow. Well, Mark, it's an absolute pleasure to have you
Yeah,
on.
man. Great talk.
I'll resend another booking link so we can get you back on and do a part 2. Everybody listening, do me a favor, the spiel. Click pause or just go right now to the episode description. Click those links. Hit me up with a share, a like, a follow, and a subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And do me one more. Leave me a review. It helps me grow and it helps other people find the show. Mark, again, thank you for being here. And everybody tuning in and listening, thank you as well. And we'll see you all next time. Till then, take care.